Hey everyone, and welcome to this Dota 2 Beginner's Guide on Underlord, and in this guide I'll be taking you through everything you need to know to fundamentally begin playing Underlord, one of the absolute best offlaners in Dota 2. What's incredible at Underlord is that he has consistently had a win rate about 55% regardless of the patches, regardless of the changes. He is a low-key one of the absolute best heroes in the game and has been for some time, but yet he isn't often played. A lot of people don't pick him. A lot of people find his playstyle a little, passive with his abilities. He's not known for doing like a ton of damage, but it's not about the amount of damage. In fact, I'm starting on the screen because when you actually look at his stats, he's deceiving because you see, okay, he doesn't carry, he kind of supports, he kind of nukes, he kind of disables, he doesn't jungle, he's not durable, he has some escape, and he doesn't push nor initiate. But this isn't actually, I don't even feel this is accurate, because I feel like he does push. He doesn't do direct tower damage himself, but the pressure he puts on the map can be immense, okay? He's not a nuker, but he slowly whittles teams down over time. He's not necessarily a disabler, but what I would say is his Pit of Malice, right, can really lock in an entire team for, almost 2 seconds. And then you have his Atrophy Aura, which isn't considered a disable, but I'm going to tell you, it's pretty damn impactful in a team fight. So, what is Underlord? Underlord is kind of the type of hero you play when you want to have a macro presence on the game. You want to create pressure on the map. You want to support your team. You want to carry the auras, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you, first of all, I'm going to actually start with a full item build, okay? And then what I'm going to show you is some examples via a replay that gives you an idea of how to effectively use Firestorm, his damage over time and kind of nuking ability, his Pit of Malice, his area of effect rooting ability, his Atrophy Aura, which takes away damage from opponents, gives you added damage, and can also be buffed to give your allies damage at level 25. And finally, your Dark Rift, which can be utilized both offensively and defensively, and also from a macro level to move along and around the map. It's basically like a team-based teleport scroll, okay? So, first thing, let's talk about the game plan for Underlord. Now, with all of my guides, I really recommend you make a custom hero selection screen, which I do for all my guides. And again, you can copy this one if you wish. When I play Underlord, these are the heroes that I'm avoiding. And once again, always have backups. Beastmaster is one of my absolute favorite heroes in the offlane I like to play. So if Underlord's banned or double picked, I can play Beastmaster, Razor, or Tidehunter. Those are my preferred three, depending on, who they have and etc. who I have, right? Razor's really good against like Wraith Kings and stuff like that, Lifestealers. Tidehunter is a great team fighter. Beastmaster is kind of really niche right now in the offlane with his changes to Necro, with the removal of Necrobook. But anyways, let's talk about Underlord quickly, okay? Because you can pick those other three however you wish. Now with Underlord, you want to ban Juggernaut and lower MMRs. Why? The reason for this is because Juggernaut has basically a free BKB in Blade Fury. And with that BKB, he can essentially, the Blade Fury I should say, he can essentially ignore your Pit of Malice, he can ignore your Firestorm, he can just ignore you, okay? So Juggernaut is not an ideal kind of safe lane kind of opponent because he can kind of ignore everything you're doing when he's Blade Furying. And Lifestealer is the same way. Lifestealer has Rage, which is basically like a BKB ability, and it allows him to basically just ignore all your zoning. So these two are the ones you really want to ban if you're playing Underlord. If you're at lower MMRs, it tends to be Juggernaut is much more popular, so I tend to ban Juggernaut. Ursa's a very difficult hero to deal with because his Fury Swipes is not impacted by Atrophy Aura, so he can really ramp up his DPS in a surprising way, which is kind of rare on an Underlord. Sniper, because he can kind of keep you at range and headshot kind of pin you in place, right? You don't have any gap close mechanics as an Underlord. If you can jump on the sniper and root him, the sniper's dead. But the sniper's range will allow him to kind of, keep you at bay. Razor can static link you and you can't really do anything to get away and he'll just kind of murder you. Necrophos has this Heartstopper Aura, which does a lot of damage to very high HP targets, which is what Underlord is. You have Disruptor, who can basically single out a target with Glimpse, and then when you Dark Rift your team out, the single target will come back, which is probably going to be your carry so they can get murdered. Kunkka with his X marks the spot, right? Doom can just straight up Doom. Doom kind of counters everybody if they want to with Doom, but anyways. And then you have Wyvern, because if you Dark Rift and Wyvern is in the presence, they can just basically have you murder your carry because you're all grouped up, right? And again, Shadow Fiend is very effective with Requiem to actually take out lots of different people, but he's very good against someone like PL, who's very common right now because Underlord will murder illusions. Naga, Phantom Lancer. Those illusions will get murdered. Terrorblade should be in this list. He's not. He should. Oh, he is there. He's right there. Spectre uses illusions. He's really good against Wraith King because he just murders all the skeletons and Wraith King can't effectively farm. And he creates a lot of map pressure, which Wraith King doesn't appreciate because Wraith King wants to use the jungle to farm, and Underlord steals that farm away from Wraith King and creates a ton of map pressure. Wraith King needs room to farm. These are all very greedy heroes, right? You'll notice these are all greedy heroes. Ricky, not so much, but Ricky, if he gets caught in the Pit of Malice, he's basically dead, right? It'll reveal him and it'll kill him. You can basically feast on the Nature's Prophet Treants, right? It'll also feed your Atrophy Aura, which is great. Meepo, you kind of control very effectively with your Pit of Malice. And then again, you have people like Shadow Demon who really can't cope with the versatility of Underlord. You have Chaos Knight who uses illusions, and Terrorblade uses illusions. Atrophy Aura kills Drow Ranger and Legion Commander. Atrophy Aura will take away all their DPS. Like Legion Commander cannot basically duel Underlord unless they're insanely ahead. But at the end of the day, right, as you play the game and build experience, you will start to further understand some of the core matchups for Underlord. But this is a good basic starting point for you to get you understanding, who you're good against, who you're not so good against. Let's move on to items. Before we get started, I should mention that if you're looking for this guide in the Dota 2 client, you can find it under the Underlord Beginners Guide by Octavarium. It'll be in the client and you can use it to kind of maintain these item builds and suggestions. It'll also include the ability selections in the order at which you're supposed to select, and also talent suggestions with all the descriptions built right in. With regards to starting items, I do strongly recommend that you go Double Tango, Fairy Fire, Healing Salve, a Quelling Blade, and an Enchanted Mango. And I'll explain why right now. Basically, you want to have the extra tangos. 6 tangos, you are a melee hero. The position 4 will often see an Underlord and say, this guy can kind of be by himself a little bit. You'll take a lot of harassment because you are a melee offlaner. You actually don't start with fantastic armor, so it's something to bear in mind. It's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good. It's 5, but it's a little under 5. But anyways, you're going to take a lot of harassment, right? The Fairy Fire is important because, as a melee kind of offlaner, I often find it very valuable to have that burst healing in the case you're like, whoa, I dipped a little too far here. And Underlord tends to push the lane very much. The result of that is that, in a lot of offlane lane matchups, you are pulling the lane away from their tower. Underlord tends to push the lane. He tends to push the lane because of the way he uses his Firestorm. So the result of that is you will take a lot of added harassment. Healing Salve because you want to remain in the lane as long as possible. And again, you take a lot of harassment. The Quelling Blade, because you're a melee hero, it really benefits your ability to last hit, which really helps you to amplify your Atrophy Aura, and of course, your farming potential. And finally, an Enchanted Mango, because you do not have much opportunities early to kind of regenerate mana. You have very low starting intelligence. It actually builds up pretty decently over the course of the game, but you need a Mango, not a Clarity, because you're a melee position 3, so you're like, if you use a Clarity, you're just going to get hit right away. So you have to have Mangoes. You'll probably use like 2 or 3 Mangoes through the course of the laning stage before you solve that problem, okay? If you're in a lane where you need a magic stick, like against a PA, what you would do is you'd get rid of one of the tangos, you'd get rid of one of the Fairy Fires, the Fairy Fire, and you would add a magic stick, and you'll see it'll cost exactly 600. My camera's moving everywhere. It'll be exactly 600 gold with the magic stick if you remove those 2 items, okay? So, but I do recommend that you do start like this if you can. Hey, Underlord, I like this view. It's a cool view. Anyways. Early game, what you're doing is you're building an early Vanguard. With Vanguard, you want to prioritize building the Ring of Health first because it gives you the added HP regeneration per second. The reason why this is important, because if you're really, really stuck for mana, what you can do is you can go the Ring of Health, and then you can actually go Soul Ring, which is not crazy at all. You can go Soul Ring, which will kind of save you money on the mangoes. You get the Soul Ring. You have the added mana health regeneration of the Ring of Health, which helps to kind of sustain you and your use of Soul Ring, because you're going to sacrifice your health to gain some mana so you can do your Firestorms, right? If I can conserve my mana effectively, I do prefer to finish the Vanguard, simply because that added health and the Vanguard's effect right now is just completely broken. Vanguard is one of the absolute best items in the game right now for its cost. Ton of health, ton of HP regeneration, but also that passive block is truly remarkable. It helps you push the towers. It helps you in all states of the game. It helps you sustain in the lane. It makes it so that basically Underlord's nearly impossible to kill in the early game. And then when you have that coupled with the Soul Ring, suddenly you're casting spells basically for free nonstop. You're healing yourself right to top. The enemy can barely hurt you. So it's up to you. Depends on how the lane is going. You can go Ring of Health into Soul Ring, or you can complete the Vanguard, which will help sustain you. It's not that expensive, and then into Soul Ring, okay? That is one of the options here. Well, middle tower's under attack. What's happening over there? I don't know. Anyways, so once you're done that, right, let's assume you're going to use all your tangos, you're going to use your Fairy Fire, you might have yourself still, you don't need your Mango anymore, right? What you're going to end up doing now is you're actually going to get Brown Boots. You're going to stick to Brown Boots for some time. You have to make a call here. When you get your Brown Boots, you have to decide, okay, am I going to rush Crimson Guard? Right? Which is going to be, basically the helm in the recipe, so about, 1,800 gold. Or do I try and get to my Arcane Boots? Generally speaking, I like to get my Arcane Boots. The reason why you don't have to is because if you really want to try and, defend towers and snowball the game a little bit early, depending on who your carry is, right? If you have like a late game carry, like an anti-mage, then definitely go Arcane Boots into something like Crimson Guard or Pipe, because, it allows, you're not really trying to push too hard too early, because you're going to be fighting 5v4 for most of it. But if you have a very aggressive carry, someone like a Wraith King who has Radiance and Blink Dagger now, you might want to consider going the Crimson Guard early, or the Crimson Guard's easier to finish because you already have the Vanguard, but the Crimson Guard early as opposed to finishing your boots, because you can just continue to sustain with the Soul Ring as you can. But if you're still in lane and you're doing a lot of harassment and you're utilizing a lot of mana, you might want to finish your Arcane Boots first, okay? It's up to you. If you're sensing a lot of team fights and you have the mana, finish your Crimson Guard first, especially if you're doing lots of physical damage. If, you're not doing a lot of team fights yet and mana's a little tight and, you're in a very scrappy lane, finish your Arcane Boots first. It's 800 gold. It's not a big deal. They end up being the same, but as you gain experience playing, you'll start to make that differentiation. The major point of difference comes is when their lineup happens to be very magic based, right? You're against a Lina, a Crystal Maiden, an Invoker, and so Crimson Guard doesn't even have that much value. In fact, you might just stick with the Vanguard for the entire game. The result of that is you finish your Arcane Boots, and then you build your Pipe of Insight as your next item. Okay, and that's what you would do. With that being said, you're often in the late game, you're building two key items, okay? You're going to be building a Guardian Greaves. Okay, sometimes your position 4 might want the Guardian Greaves, so you might want to communicate with them. But generally speaking, as the position 3 Underlord, you will be building Guardian Greaves. It is absolutely fantastic. The passive, which gives increased armor and health regeneration, is fantastic, especially when they're under 20% health. They'll get 16 health regeneration and 10% additional armor, 10 additional armor, sorry, flat. It's a huge benefit. Guardian Greaves are fantastic, and it'll provide you with a Dispel, and it gives you everything you need. It gives you mana, and it gives you, health and mana restoration as well. It's a fantastic item. It gives the restorations for you and your team, of course. And then Assault Cuirass is absolutely fantastic. Gives you a ton of armor, because here's the thing with Underlord. With the Atrophy Aura, you're going to want to be in the fights. Okay, you're going to want to be in the fight. You want to be a consistent presence, and your Assault Cuirass is going to really help you kind of do that, because you want to be in the mix of it. You want to be in the mix of it. The added armor helps. The added attack speed helps, because as you kill enemies, you're going to get your Atrophy Aura is going to really amplify the amount of right-click damage you can do. And moreover, it'll also benefit your entire team who will be rallied around you, because you are kind of like this aura psychopath, right? And with that being said, we have a few optional items we'll talk about here. If you are in lanes where you start with a magic stick, maybe getting a magic wand is a natural kind of transition, kind of self-explanatory. Vlad's is a really cheap item, an aura item that is very valuable for someone like Underlord. Again, you are an aura hero. That is essentially what you do. Vladimir's offering is great, because if you have a team that does a lot of physical damage, like if you have an Ursa, if you have a PA, if you have a Juggernaut, if you have a you get what I mean, right? Any team, Sven is huge for this. Anybody that has a lot of physical damage and can benefit from not only the additional damage, but the lifesteal as well, would really benefit from Vladimir's offering. It's really cheap. As an Underlord, you can farm very fast because of your wave clearing ability. So Vladimir's is really good. It also allows you to take Roche early and often, because it really helps you kind of really melt down Roche much faster. Rod of Ados is really cool. If you're one of the only heroes with catch on your team, like if you don't have a Shadow Shaman, you don't have a Lion, if you don't have anybody that can lock everyone in place, if you are the guy that locks people in place, you might want to consider getting a Rod of Ados, because, it allows you to kind of lock one guy in place, put a Pit of Malice in. That's a tongue twister. Put a Pit of Malice in, and then the result of that is there'll be Rod of Ados, and then you put the pit on top of them, and then they get pitted as well. So it's like a double root, which is really neat. Or you can root different targets. You can root a team over here and a guy who's escaping. You can just be a rooter, right? So it's kind of it's really interesting. It's kind of niche at the same time, but it still is a good item and not that expensive. Soul Ring we already talked about. We included in the primary build here. Shiva's Guard's really cool, because again, you're an aura person, and Shiva's Guard is really good for the additional armor. Its active's pretty damn good as well, but its passive's really neat because it actually does reduce the attack speed of everybody. So if you are reducing their attack speed and their attack damage with Atrophy Aura, you are completely destroying their ability to right-click people. Okay, do not underestimate the value of Underlord just being in a fight. The fact that he's there can be tremendous, okay? You have the Heaven's Halberd, which is fantastic. First of all, any item that has Sage right now is absolutely broken. Sage is one of the best items in the game for its stats resistance and its effects. But with the Halberd, you're getting the benefit of evasion, additional strength, you're getting stats resistance, and you're getting additional HP regeneration, which Underlord does have a lot of, including he has a talent that boasts it as well. It's overall a great item, but most importantly, the disarm, which allows you to basically, if you're against a PA or a Sven or someone just right-clicks your team to death, you can disable their attacks, right? Which is very beneficial. Solar Crest. It's one of the best cheap items in the game right now. Often being built by your position 4. So another item you want to discuss with your position 4 player. If they're not building it, you might want to build it. It gives you some decent stats, but overall, you really want to amplify the damage done by like a heavy right clicker, a Sven, a Juggernaut, a PA, whoever it might be, will really benefit from Solar Crest. Okay, and finally, Lotus Orb. If the other team has a lot of like single target disables that are really affecting your primary carry, you would build a Lotus Orb to protect that carry, to kind of discourage the opponents from kind of hitting them with like the hexes and stuff like that, because they would then have it kind of done onto themselves. It's really good against Linas and others, to keep your carry kind of alive and to dissuade others from kind of focusing their abilities on them, right? A good item, a Lotus Orb. It also gives you passive armor, regeneration, mana, and everything that you like to use as well, okay? Now, let's take a moment here to talk about the skill progression. Now, Underlord is unique here with regards to skills because there's some customization here, okay? The way that this guide is designed and the way that I recommend you do it is you start with Firestorm, okay? Firestorm is the skill you want to start with because it allows you to zone effectively in the early stages of the game. It also does a ton of damage. I joke about it all the time on stream, but I'm always amazed with how much damage Firestorm will do over the course of a game. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to Atrophy Aura. The reason for this is because your Atrophy Aura is very valuable in the laning stage. It really reduces the amount of damage that your opponents can do in the lane, okay? And it really helps to sustain you because the less damage they can do, the less damage that they can poke you for, and the less effective their last hitting is. Your third point at level 3 is going to go into Firestorm, and then you go to Atrophy Aura. The reason why I prefer Atrophy Aura here is because it now increases from 5%, it increases another 10% to 15% at level 2, which is a significant jump from 2 to 3. From 1 to 2, sorry, right? It's more valuable than just a single point on 1. Level 5, you are going to go with your Firestorm, okay? And then level 6, you don't take Dark Rift. You don't really need it yet, okay? You don't need that escape. It's super expensive for mana at this point of the game. You don't have that much mana. You're not going to use it, okay? You might die, well, whatever. What you're going to do is you're going to take a value point in Pit of Malice. The reason why the 1 point in Pit of Malice is so important is because the disable duration doesn't actually increase that much. It is it's the cooldown that decreases, and the result of that is, its mana increases as well. So you kind of just want 1 value point in it. Because if you level it up a lot, it's going to be super expensive to cost mana-wise, and you don't really need it all that often. You just need it for that one clutch moment where you got to root a guy who's TPing and you're about to kill him, or someone who's trying to escape, or to kind of zone someone out so your carry doesn't get killed, right? So you want 1 value point in Malice, and then you want to complete Firestorm. And then once Firestorm's complete, right, then you go to your Dark Rift, and then you complete your Atrophy Aura, and then finally, at level 10, you're taking your first skill. The skill order I recommend is you go Firestorm Radius, okay? Again, you want to kind of greatly improve your ability to benefit your team in team fights. Armor's good too. Armor actually has a slightly higher win rate because it makes you a little tankier. So if you're carrying a lot of auras and stuff like that, you consider going armor. It helps you survive in the front lines. Armor's not a bad one. But for newer players, I think the Firestorm Radius is good because in newer games, and it's like a team fight kind of masterclass. So basically everyone's just team fighting. Take the Radius, and then you take the Pit of Malice AoE. Okay, I know you're gonna be tempted by that Firestorm cooldown, but again, you want to really maximize your opportunity to do work in team fights and to zone. Okay, I recommend you go health regeneration, and then finally I recommend you go Pit of Malice route. It has the higher win rate. Now, if you have a bunch of right-clicking heroes on your team, like if you're in a greedy lineup, like you have a Wraith King and a Sven, or like who knows, some of the lineups in newer player games are crazy. You can go the Atrophy Allied hero bonus, which means that they'll get a bonus percentage based on your Atrophy aura. But if not, right, the Pit of Malice goes from a 1.8 at level 4, it goes all the way to 2.45, so 2.5 seconds, which is pretty significant. Okay, that is the basic run up for the skill builds. Once again, it'll be included fully in my guide, so be sure to check that out on the Dota 2 client. Now let's take a look at replays so I can show you how to effectively use your skills as an Underlord. Alright, so let's talk about the utilization of Underlord skills within a game environment. Now, I'm the Underlord as a position 3 and I have a position 4 Ogre Magi. I'm against an Ancient Apparition position 5 and a position 1 Wraith King. In this situation, I know that Wraith King has very little armor, and what I want to do is I want to position myself in a way where I'm being very aggressive. Now, what happens here is the usual trading in the lane, right? I'm short on mana here, so I'm conserving my my mana as possible. You know, I'm not just going to throw it out here. I know I'm taking a lot of harassment. The Ogre Magi isn't really in a position to harass very effectively. He's kind of short on regen, honestly. I get a deny, I move back, and of course I meme a little bit with Suns Fan and the 4 Zoomers supporter pack. And good effort by this guy as well. Me and this guy were having a lot of fun together, honestly. Despite this being a competitive game for a Battle Cup, we were having a lot of effort. Now, what I really want to identify here, not all the memes, is I want to identify that I'm using Firestorm in a way where I'm basically making it so, listen, if this Wraith King wants to last hit these melee creeps, he has to fight me and sit in this Firestorm. He doesn't want it. I actually could have positioned it a little higher to protect his range creep as well, but I did not do that, so that's something I could correct in the future. Now, what I also want to bring attention to is this AA is doing a great job of zoning me as well, and the result of that is I want you to note how much damage I take here and the value of this Fairy Fire. Look what happens. Now, I have the Atrophy Aura bonus. I'm attacking this Wraith King. I know I can kill him. There's a Fairy Fire. We kill the Wraith King, and I get away. A clutch stun right here by the Ogre Magi, but I was going to get away anyway. I get under tower. I use the salve, right? Remember how we're carrying a salve? And look at this, okay? With the salve, the Fairy Fire, not only am I alive, but I'm right back in it. Rub-a-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm right back in it, right? And that's what's so important to understand about this situation here. It's all about doing the best you can to, like, make the most of your laning stage. And as you can see, as an Underlord, I'm very used to my supports roaming. As a position 4, they're likely to roam. You have to have a lot of regen because you need to sustain this lane. And I think that this was it was a meme, but it was a good example as to why you carry that salve, why you carry that Fairy Fire, and how you can utilize Firestorm to zone out opponents. In this next example, shortly after, I'm going to illustrate how, once again, you can utilize the ability to zone Wraith King and zone carries in order to put them in danger. So I know he wants these last hits, right? So what do? I'm going to use a Firestorm very defensively. And look where the Firestorm is. It's right on top of the entire area where he wants to go. He wants these last hits. So it's like he wants to take this damage in order to actually get in this position. That is effective use of Firestorm. Okay, that is what good Underlords players do, and what I have to do more often, actually. So that's a good use of Firestorm. Now what you're going to notice here is I'm getting these last hits, and my Ogre decides to be pretty ballsy here, and he jumps on Mr. Cheney, and basically what ends up happening is I realize, listen, I'm still getting greedy with these last hits, but I run in, and I try and get to this guy ASAP. I have a Soul Ring, I have a Mango, and my thing's coming off cooldown. I know I can do damage here. Okay, whether or not I can save my boy is different. Now let's speed it up a little bit. What do? Okay, I use my Soul Ring, right? I'm waiting. He turns around. I use my Firestorm. This guy, if he wants to fight me, he has to sit through this entire Firestorm, and look how much damage it does to him. And I kill him, right? 79 extra Atrophy Aura damage. He never stood a chance. And once again, that's very effective use of Firestorm because I put him in a position where if he wants to fight me, he's going to have to fight me in my terms, under my Firestorm. And that is what makes Underlord so damn effective. This guy survived. We got the kill in the position 1, and honestly, this game quickly spiraled out of control. Good effort indeed. Alright, so in this part of the replay, I'm going to illustrate to you how to effectively use Pit of Malice and Firestorm in order to zone effectively, and also how to alleviate map pressure. What you'll notice here is we're starting to kind of show on the mid-tier tier 2. So what we're doing here, AA is doing a good job trying to zone us, but I'm going to try and zone them. We have a Wraith King who's moving towards our tier 1 to create some pressure, and we have a Sven who is being hyper aggressive. Sven decides he's going to Superman in. He's going right in here. Okay, throws the stun out. Stuns the AA. What I do here is I am the Underlord. So what I do is I position both the Firestorm and the Pit of Malice at the entrance and exit of the hill. The reason for this is because I see that their units are trying to utilize this choke point. I'm making this choke point very dangerous for them. I actually get lucky because although I put the Firestorm in the correct spot, you'll note that my Pit of Malice is a little too far to the right. But I get lucky and he touches it ever so slightly and gets rooted regardless. Okay? Then what we get here, because of the Nyx assassin being rooted, he dies. And as you can see, this whole area is a death trap for the opposing team. And that is how you effectively use something like Pit of Malice. Now, had I been able to have vision up here, I could have positioned it a little further up. Right, and this is a great blast by AA, by the way. But look, this Sven chasing it a little far in there. You know, what are you gonna do? This is low MMR play. Like, that Sven's dying for no reason, blowing the Aegis for no reason. What I decide to do is I go here. Why? Because Wraith King is actually pushing. Now, I want to alleviate this pressure. We have numbers up in the base, and they're calling that they're going to retreat a little bit, so they're going to take the racks. So what I do is I alleviate the pressure. What this also shows you is that this Wraith King, despite being a Wraith King, a lot of people being scared of, he does not want to fight me. Watch what happens next. We move up here, okay? Watch what we do here. We get in a little skirmish, but as soon as I drop my Firestorm, look, terrified. Pit of Malice, Firestorm, he's taking a ton of extra damage. He's got to run away. He gets the last hit with the crit on the range creep, but that's fine. Right? I'm going to stay with him, though. I'm going to stay with him. I have a ton of Atchfiora. Look at this. 168 bonus damage. He can't fight me. We get X marks the spot. Look how I use my my pit. I put it right there, so he's going to be rooted as soon as he lands, and he's rooted when he resurrects. The ghost ship comes in as well. I'm so tanky. I'm eating a ton of damage from the Tinker. It doesn't matter. Wraith King is dead. All because I rotated, defended that tower. If I hadn't rotated, that tower would be gone. And now look what happened. We created all this additional map pressure. That's me looking for the Tinker. We created all this additional map pressure and took down the Wraith King again. And you can better believe we really snowballed this game. In this example, I'm going to talk about why you need to pay attention to how your attribute aura affects opposing units and how you can also zone in a team fight. So once again, we have a team fight situation here. What we're going to do is I'm trying to like position myself in the trees to stay hidden, but you know, this guy sees me, he's bumping into me, whatever. Anyways, what we have here is we see an Ogre Magi, he pokes. Now right away, knowing that this Ogre Magi is here, it tells me that there's probably other people up here as well. So what I do is I try to zone the area near the high ground. I'm telling my team, don't go up in high ground, because then we'll die. So if we can get a kill on this ogre, we will. And what you'll see is I actually drop my Firestorm up over that high ground as well. I want you to note how much damage that OD took in that whole situation. Now, what you'll notice is that my movements have been a bit awkward. The reason for this is because I'm trying to keep Sven within my Atrophy Aura range. The Atrophy Aura has a limited range, and at the same time, I want to make sure that he's being kind of dealt with. You'll see that I got another triple root, and now that Sven's dead, I turn around where we got this guy rooted. I know I have a ton of extra damage thanks to Atchfiora, and we're able to kill the Dragon Knight. As you can see, I was effectively using my Pit of Malice to zone the opposing team in order to do the maximum amount of damage possible. And what's important to understand, good effort indeed, is that when we go back for a second here, I want you just to see again how much damage this OD took, okay? Let's go back a little bit more. So the OD's almost at full health, and again, there's my Firestorm. Look at it just eat away at this OD, simply because that's where you wanted to be to participate in the fight. And look, I'm keeping myself in range of the Atchfiora for the Sven, but also I don't want to just walk into the what's it called, the Chrono. And of course, I tried to lock down these guys so we can get a kill. Do we get the... Oh, these guys barely got away. We weren't able to follow up the damage. We did get their carry, though, which is good. But again, as you can see, right, as Underlord, you're kind of playing the macro game. You're trying to determine, you know, how you can position yourself and how your team can position themselves and how you can position your abilities to do maximum amounts of damage. All right, so we can't end the guide without talking about Dark Rift. Dark Rift can be used in a number of different ways. In this situation, despite my pleas to just push high ground, our team decided they really wanted to kill this OD. And so they're chasing him like crazy. And they're saying, we got to take him down. We got to take him down. We win the game if he dies. So I'm chasing. I'm pretty far behind. I'm pretty slow. So what do I decide to do? I say, hey guys, I got an idea. What can I do to stop this OD? I am going to Dark Rift ahead of him on the creep, come back around, use Pit of Malice, and a good swap by this Venge back into the Pit of Malice, and we're able to kill the OD. So I want to show you like an offensive use case for Dark Rift that isn't just an escape. You can use it to do some pretty cool stuff as well. Now, admittedly, things get a little dumb, and I want to show you this too, just because it's kind of funny. So shortly after we do this, at about 36 minutes here, I'm going to cut ahead. I'm not even following myself. So 36 minutes, we end up getting in a bit of a team fight down here. Sorry, I'm watching the timer and stuff like that. We end up having to escape. We get out. We're like, hey, get out, get out, get out. These guys start to die. Everything goes bad. Okay, let's go to follow the hero. We're following my Underlord. Okay, so things go a little bad here. What happens is that we get baited. Okay, straight up. So they want to show up top. They know, they see Faceless Void. We weren't effectively scouting here. They see Faceless Void. They jump on Faceless Void with OD. I know they're coming, so I try to position it so that like the Faceless Void can get away. I try and zone a little bit. I know we're gonna die. So I'm saying, guys, we're out, we're out. I Dark Rift. I get my team out. These guys are TPing in. And I'm saying, guys, cancel your TPs. Cancel your TPs. In fact, their ODs is pinging saying, guys, I can't believe their carries are coming in. These two guys come in. Look at this laughable Chronosphere. Look at this. He's banished. He's trying to Chrono. Look at this Chronosphere. Guys, I couldn't even make this up. Why we didn't get punished, I couldn't tell you. But anyways, this is Dota. This is Dota. We're rushing back trying to get in. How we didn't get wiped is beyond me. I cannot believe we even turned this fight. But basically the idea here is I want to show you how to use a Dark Rift defensively. I know we're going to lose this fight. We're in trouble. Both our carries are dead. I got the guys out, right? And that was the key there. Right? I saw that we were in trouble. They identified very well that Faceless Void was a kill target. We were not able to kill him again. I can't stun the guy. I can only root him. I see that we are way outnumbered. It's just the two supports and me. I'm getting us out. These guys buy back in TP. I'm telling them to cancel their TPs. They don't listen. And this hilarity ensues, right? So anyways, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? And in retrospect, maybe we could have stayed and turned the fight knowing that was going to happen, right? I mean, no one can prepare themselves for this chrono, but anyways, this is Dota! So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Once again, the guide that I developed will be available in the Dota 2 kind of clients. You can find it under Underlord Beginners Guide by Octavarium. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a very special thank you to all of our wonderful subscribers. We will see you in the next Hero Guide video.